Welcome to the Dimension of the Supernatural. Maureen is still under the weather, so you're stuck with me again. I'm Anthony Simonelli. I believe some of you know me, some of you don't. I just want to welcome to the show. Tonight we have Nancy Thames. Yes, I said her name right. I know you guys are going to question me on the comments. Her name is Nancy Thames. Okay, now welcome, Nancy.
Hi, how are you tonight? Hi.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. It's been a beautiful day and it's just very pleasant. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice day to get out and enjoy, get some air and everything. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm just we'll start getting right into it.
Okay.
First of all, I seen that you worked for the Defense Department at one time.
I did work for them for a period of time, and it was very interesting. I thoroughly learned a lot of things. I worked in dentistry for the Department of Defense. I was a civilian, and I did have to have a security clearance. But the only reason why I had to have that is because I worked with the Commander General over the Pacific Rim of the Army. Mm-hmm. And he was over medical and dental. And basically, I worked at Schofield Barracks, and we were there getting soldiers ready to deploy overseas for a 24-month stay over there. So we had to get them medically and dentally ready to be able to, be away from a facility for that long. So it really didn't have anything to do with extraterrestrials. And I was always having experience before while I was employed with them and afterwards up until this very day. But if they knew about it, they didn't tell me. And I certainly didn't offer any information to them.
So working for the Department of Defense, is that what got you into, you're abductee from the...
No, well, I don't consider myself an abductee. I call myself a contactee. And the reason why is that I am a contactee, which I have had physical face-to-face visitations with positive extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings since my birth. And my first conscious memories go back as far as like 2 and 3 years old. And they would always come and get me, and they would always send 3 grays. These grays were reddish brown. One is a female, and she and I are bonded to each other. The other 2, I couldn't tell you. I don't really have any actions with them. She and I are bonded. She gets me, transports me by hand. After when I was younger, she would take a handheld scanning device and use the scanner and hold it from my head to my toes, from my toes to my head, and do that several times. And then my body would start to lift off the ground, or if I was in the bed, I would start to elevate off the bed. And as I would look down, I would see where I was empty. So this was physically happening to me. And when I was very young, I didn't know that wasn't something that wasn't natural. It was just something that was reoccurring, and it didn't scare me. I thought it was fun, and they made it very playful.
Yeah. As a kid, you would find it's like an imaginary friend, it's
yeah, it was fun. I had the world around me had not given me any barriers, to base my visitations with them. And as I got when I was little, if I mentioned it, my parents just dismissed it. But as I got older and would talk about it more, they would say, "Oh, you're having a silly dream. Go back to bed." And I can remember telling them there's little beings that were in my room, and they would say, "That's so silly. That's some kind of dream," and they would just dismiss it. And then as I got even older, they would say, "Okay, enough of the nonsense. We don't want to hear any more about this." So I learned at a very young age to suppress it. It would keep peace within the family. And then later on, I realized that I lived in the area of the South that I lived in. I grew up in Tennessee, and it was considered the Bible Belt of the South. And people did not want to talk about that kind of communication. And my parents told me, at Girl Scouts, you cannot talk about this. At school, you cannot talk about this. At church, you cannot talk about this. When we go to family dinners, you cannot talk about this, because they have put people in mental institutions for having conversations about this. And it would be embarrassing to the family, for me to start talking about these things. So I learned very quickly that was just not something that you do. But so as I was young, it did not scare me. I was not scared at all. And when I got to about junior high age, and at that point I was reading books on my own, I was seeing things on TV, I was hearing what other people would say. And so I did become scared, because I did not understand, because the fact that they were holding the scanner, and after they would hold the scanner and do this, when my body would start to elevate, the gray would take me by the hand, and we would go through a ceiling, through a door, through a window. And I can remember going through the ceiling and looking around and seeing insulation and seeing things in storage in the attic. And I would, like, it was very confusing, because in my reality world, human beings weren't able to do this. And science and biology were always one of my favorite subjects. So it did not make sense. And when I would question this, the female gray would basically ignore me. She just ignored me. That's one thing about these grays. They're very, very task oriented. There is no negotiating. There's no playing around, kidding around. When I was little, and even as I got to that age, I just knew, we do what we do, and that's just the way it was. And I knew that I could ask questions all I wanted, but I knew that, they weren't going to tell me anything.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting. And when they used to take you through to the ceiling and up, your body stayed there and the whole body, your physical
my
body.
whole body went. When I looked down, my bed was empty, and my hands would be holding hers, and my fingers interlocking, and I would even, touch. She would allow me to touch or feel around on her fingers, and she would allow me to touch up on the upper part of her arm, and I've even touched her face, and she feels like a dolphin.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, she didn't mind that or anything like that, but her communication with me is very, very to the point. Like I said, she's very task oriented, but I have a frequency exchange with her that is very hard to explain. It's like an understanding, like I know, even though she does not have the attributes that a human female has, where we're easily distinguished between male and female. Grays do not have that, but I knew every essence of my mind and soul knew that she was female. And I regarded her as a guardian or mother type extraterrestrial figure, because she's been with me since my birth, I now know. But as far as being very young, and to this day, she's still the one that comes to get me, and I hold hands with him. And still interact with the fingers and hands. And
Mhm.
I have a very, very loving and attachment to her. And I feel and sense that she has that for me as well.
Uh, I mean, when you say grades, what we see in movies and everything, how they perceive it, comic books, everything shows, you know, and they show the gray, the big head, big eyes,
Mhm.
no outfits on, and they walking around with like these little feet and everything. How does she look to you? Does she have a
Well,
human shape, or does she, you know?
she,
Um,
there, a lot of people do not understand. And I know this for a fact because the interdimensionals have told me and showed me. But there are over 60 different types of grays. There are different heights, different colors.
mhm,
She always comes down here with two other grays, and they are 4.5 feet, almost 5 foot, more around between 4 and 5 foot, and they are reddish brown, and they are a gray hybrid. They were designed by the interdimensional, who are humanoid looking, but they're not completely, they have human like features, but they are definitely not human, and they are about 7 to 8 feet tall. And they were designed by the tall grays and the interdimensionals to do the legwork of coming back and forth to get contactees. Um, Extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have the density of Earth is not compatible necessarily 100%
mhm.
compatible with them. They can do it, but they don't particularly like it. So they designed this gray, and she is a hybrid. She's biological, she's not robotic, and that's her job, that's her task. And the ones like her, they are assigned to contactees, and they come and do the legwork. And once they come and get me on board on craft, I don't even see her or the other two. My experiences then with the interdimensionals or the tall grays or humanoids, or I've seen reptilians, aquatic beings. It's a multitude of different beings that are all working with the interdimensionals towards the betterment of humanity.
So like we as humans have different nationalities. There's
Yes,
a different. There's so many different nationalities, or just
yes,
shapes, models of us. You know,
yes.
meat
And
body here. Everybody looks differently.
yeah,
So
and even the
it's hard to
grays
say. Yeah.
have different like facial type features. Some their eyes are more almond, some are smaller. They have different, they're definitely different, you know, but the common grays that we typically see here on Earth are pictures of the Ebens, and the Ebens were the ones that were involved in the crash at Roswell. So, and they're about 4 foot tall. But so in every single race of extraterrestrials, there's not just one race. There's many different races of each category. So we have a lot of misinformation here on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, we need to know the truth. We need to know our true heritage. We need to know the truth of our planet. There's so much about our planet that we don't know, and information that has been
Yeah.
suppressed from us. For whatever reason, the powers that be have not wanted us to know where we truly come from, have not wanted us to know that there were civilizations of high technology from human
Mhm.
beings
Yeah.
before the Egyptians. The Egyptians did not build those pyramids. And I don't know
Hmm.
that, who's to say that extraterrestrials totally did it? I
Yeah.
think there was high levels of humans, and for whatever reasons, they were either they wiped themselves off with misusing their technology, or either they ascended to higher consciousness, I don't know. There are some things that we'll never know all the answers to. The extraterrestrials and interdimensionals know, and they let me learn things as I get older, and as they feel that I need to know, or as they feel that it would be beneficiary to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when they take you to the, where they take to a ship, they take to a planet, they take you, where do they take you? Because I know even they say some of them might be in the ocean,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
submerged down in the bottom of the
Well,
ocean.
I'm 63 years old, and this has been happening to me all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had many, many experiences. I've been on a USO, a craft that goes underwater. I have been to cities of theirs. I have been to places here on Earth that they wanted me to be there for whatever reason. I've been on craft. Um, I've experienced being, I kind of hate to even say some of the places that I felt or I know that I've been to because it would sound so far out there.
Mm-hmm.
But in their reality, anything is possible. Our physics and our understanding of physics and sciences do not apply to them. They are a billion years ahead of us in evolution. So for them, where technology is a separated thing from us, with them, they have reached such a high level of higher consciousness that technology is that their consciousness is the technology. And that's what they use to do most of their travel and transverse through different galaxies and go to different planets and galaxies and universes.
So you're saying they travel with consciousness?
Yes, their craft are living conscious beings. And when their pilot, who is trained specifically and bonded with a craft, the craft is a living conscious being. And it even feels kind of like what's a living conscious being. So it has, when you touch it, it doesn't feel like a craft like we have.
Yeah,
Really.
like not the metal or nothing like that. You would feel, or plastic, whatever, is something that we have.
It's definitely, I don't know. There's a lot of things that they have that we don't have, and we don't even have words for or the understanding of. But when their pilot gets into their craft, his or her consciousness meets up with the craft's consciousness, and the pilot will simply think where destination, and bam, they go. So
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, what we see is what we see on shows, and when they take you to these things, they do certain tests. I know they scan you, but do they do physical tests to you too? Or?
Absolutely. They are constantly checking my evolutionary stage, constantly checking my spirituality, not my religious frame, but my soul spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Religion and spiritual aspects are totally separate. So they're wanting to see how I am evolving, how my spiritual level, and also with me, checking to see how am I evolving in my understanding of having a extraterrestrial consciousness and a human consciousness. So there's a lot of factors involved that why they're checking me, and they're checking my overall health. And with me, they have tweaked my health many times, and they can do this easily with me because before they showed me visions, before I became a human being, I was an interdimensional being, and I made an agreement before birth. It's like a soul contract. I made an agreement to come here and to assist humanity and help people to understand we are not alone in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And they are here now because we have reached a pivotal moment in our human being evolution, we are reaching, all of us, the whole world, humanity is reaching higher level of consciousness, which means our awareness is moving from a 3D dimensional world, which has kept us with kind of like blindfolders on, where we can only see what we can see in the 3D world, but we are reaching a higher level of consciousness, moving up to a fourth dimension. And as that happens, and it happens very slow, we will become more aware of the world around us, and things that we didn't see before will start to be seen by us. And we will be more open and aware and higher intelligence of understanding our place in the cosmic realm and what all this means. So basically, I'm here to help people understand we're not alone. I'm here to help people to understand we have been misled and misinformed about a lot of information. I'm here to let you know that they are loving and benevolent, and they have no desire to take over. They have no desire to harm us or anything of this nature. They are simply here to assist us, because we have reached a level, not only as we are in our intelligence, but with our technology. And we're at a point where we can either wipe ourselves out and use it unwisely. And they've seen other species and beings do this throughout universes. And because of them being a billion years ahead of us in evolution, they've seen a lot of things. So they look at us as children because they did play a part in our creation. We are not created by one single race. We are created by many different races. And one thing that they wanted me to also make sure that people understand is that what they love about our planet, they love us and they see us as children, but they love our planet and they see Earth as and Earth is, and they see her, and she is a living conscious being. All planets are living conscious beings. Everything on our planet is living conscious beings. Our trees communicate, our plants communicate, our water is a living conscious beings. Their consciousness is not necessarily the same as ours, but they have a consciousness and they communicate. And you've heard this saying, as above, so below. What that means is that humanity, all of human beings, we are all connected. We are connected to everything that was created on this planet, including the planet Earth. We are connected to all things in the universe, including extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. And whatever we experience or whatever we do, like playing around with nuclear weapons and things of mass destruction, it would not only wipe us out, it would wipe out the balance of nature. It would wipe out, disrupt our planet. It will ripple out into the universe and affect the universe, because what we do also affects them, because we are all connected. We are all one. And the powers that have been manipulating us and controlling us for eons have managed to keep us separate, because they know once we all wake up, reach our higher intelligence, and realize that certain things are not working for us, they no longer serve humanity, and we wake up and realize that we need to think differently. We need to do certain things differently. We need to come together as one, unified as one, as we're supposed to be. And we realize all our connections with everything, when we were created along with this planet and everything on it, everything a human being ever needed to sustain us throughout our lives was placed here on Earth. We do not need synthetic drugs. Those were not, our bodies were not designed for those. What
Mm-hmm.
we need is to have the toxins removed, no longer have the toxins in our air, no longer have the toxins in our water, no longer have the toxins in the foods, no
Mm-hmm.
longer have be manipulated and made to work 9 to 5, working ourselves to death. And by the time we reach retirement age, we can't even enjoy it because of our health. And that is
Mm-hmm.
because we have been, they have purposely given us on our television, it is negative information, negativity to keep humanity in fear, keep humanity separated. Everything is done with intention to keep us dumbed down, because if you're kept at a lower conscious level and you are easier to control, a smart human being can cause a lot of trouble for a dominating group that's running us and manipulating us around, including
Mm-hmm.
our governments and our
Yeah.
people that are politicians. They put them in office and then they play them like puppets and manipulate them to everything is to better them. And there's lots of technology that they've been sitting on that could have changed our world drastically. There should be no poverty. We should not be paying for fuels. We should not be paying for electricity. All these things, they've had this
Mm-hmm.
technology and been sitting on it. And there's cures for diseases. We should have no diseases.
Yeah, I believe that myself.
And so now that we're going to reach higher consciousness, people are going to wake up. And when we all worldwide start waking up and see, this is not about me, this is
Mm-hmm.
not about the United States. We're talking all of humanity. The positive extraterrestrials and the interdimensionals are here to assist us and help us, because we are waking up and reaching higher consciousness, and we can use a good hand with assistance and use this
Mm-hmm.
technology instead of everybody worrying about it destroying us. Learn that it is a man-made, AI is man-made. It is a
Yeah.
man-made tool. We
Yes.
have to keep it as a man-made tool.
Mm-hmm.
Use our intelligence, use their assistance, use it wisely, use it to better all of humankind, not
Mm-hmm.
just a few. So that's basically, all my life, they have been working with me from birth all the way up until now to get me prepared so that I would come before people like you, people
Mm-hmm.
that listen to you, to help you understand we are not alone in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's some questions, I'm sure, like who were the ones that did these abductions and things of this nature? Well, I can
Mm-hmm.
answer those questions too. Before the interdimensionals and the positive extraterrestrials came here, and what got them here was the fact that humanity is waking up, and they saw this. So when they saw this, they started coming here about 5 years ago or so. I'm not exact on that date, so, and I do not know everything and don't pretend to, but I do
Mm-hmm.
know what they've shared with me. But when they saw that humanity was starting to wake up and reach higher consciousness, they started coming in. And when they did, they told these lower realm extraterrestrials that had made agreements, treaties, whatever you want to call it, with governments here. There was different races that did different things, and
Mm-hmm.
what they did was not for the betterment of humanity, but it was, they were self-centered and self-serving. It was all about whatever research they wanted to do. And I know, like, for example, the Greys, that race, they were all genetic scientists. So they were doing genetic experiments with human beings. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that they did, worked a little bit with our governments. And I think that they probably, well, basically what happened was human beings are here on free will. So when they started doing that, they were no longer part of the collective consciousness of all the interdimensionals and positive extraterrestrials, because that breaks cosmic law. Cosmic law says they are not to interfere with humanity. They were not to interfere with us. So when they branched off and started making these agreements with governments and doing their own thing, they became a rogue league, and they were not part of the collective consciousness anymore. So, but when they saw we are waking up, and they sent messages to these lower realm extraterrestrials to leave humanity alone, leave us alone. And they are the ones that are here now. And they are the ones that are surrounding our planet, putting in frequencies of love, unity, helping us and assisting us, and for us to reach higher consciousness and help us to reach the understanding we are not alone. We have never been alone. And also to understand we are all one. We are all energy beings here having a human experience, and we can have better lives. We can enjoy being a human being. We can have longer lives. We can have healthier lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we can learn to be better human beings. And there's some things that will need to change, and they know that these changes can't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got Jenny, one of our followers here. She's always here, and her and I are friends with the Paranormal. We partner with me and stuff. She wrote the question here. Nancy, can you tell us more about how you were chosen before birth? That's question one. And how were you? How were they able to determine you would be one to share this? Good question. I think that's a pretty good question.
It's a great question. They gave me a Kundalini awakening about 2 years ago, and they had been telling me and preparing me for this all my life. And it was not easy, and it was not fun, and I did not understand a lot of it, and I was unable to piece a lot of things. So they gave me a Kundalini awakening, and what they did was they opened my subconscious up into my human consciousness. And when they did that, pieces started to fall apart, and things that they told me that it didn't register began to register. And they showed me visions. When I was in my 20s, I woke up. I have the ability, I feel before they ever come into a room with me. I know that they're coming. My frequency changes. I feel it all within me. So when that happens, I raised up in the bed and started looking around, and I was on a vacation, and my two children were in a bed in a Marriott hotel. They were in the next bed over. Mm-hmm. And when I raised up, there was 3 grays standing there. These were not the grays that come from me. These grays were 3 foot tall, and they had on high collars and robes. And when they saw me sitting up, one approached me and took his hand and pushed me down and telepathically said, "This is not about you. Go to sleep." So I laid back. Of course, I did not go to sleep, but they put me in a sleep paralysis. I could not move and I could not speak. Wow. And then I watched them walk over, and they took my 2 sons. So when they took my 2 sons, there was nothing I could do. And I did end up going to sleep. And the next morning I woke up, they were okay. And I asked them, and they didn't remember anything. So I left it alone. But what I did was, when I got back home from that trip, I sit down and meditated with intention and said, I want answers. I want information. This is different. This is more than just me. You've now involved my children, and I need answers. So the Grays came and got me and took me before a group of what they called the elders. And the elders were beings of different, they were all interdimensionals, and they were from different races. And they took me before them, and I asked them, why is this happening to me? What does this mean what is the purpose? And they told me that I had made a decision to do this before being born. And I said, I do not remember this. I don't know what you're talking about. So they showed me a vision, and I saw myself. I saw myself sitting, waiting, and them coming to me and saying, okay, it's time. And they showed me myself as an etheric type being going into the soul and becoming, into a fetus, more or less. And how that all happened. So I know now I was an interdimensional being and made the decision to come here because they've always known that humanity was going to reach this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our government has known this for a very long time. And a lot of other fractions have known this, but there's some that have wanted this to happen and prepared
Mm-hmm.
for it. Others have not wanted it to happen. They like human beings being at a lower conscious level. So for me, I made a choice as a interdimensional, and my children did too. And we all came here to do this. And my oldest son has the same kind of experiences in the downloads and the Kundalini experiences that I have had. My youngest son, he's not as into this as we are. He's very aware. And that's one thing that I can say about these beings. And I feel like all of humanity at some point has had an interaction, but it's what you're comfortable with. They don't push you any further than what you can handle or any further than what you are willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
So here's another thing that I feel. We do not need governments to tell us they're here. We do not need
Mm-hmm.
governments to say disclosure. We have it. They're here, da 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 da. Here's the deal. We are reaching higher consciousness. We won't need the governments to tell us because we will know ourselves. We are the disclosure. Humanity, us human beings, all made a choice to be here. We are all a part of this. This is the biggest evolutionary event humans have. This is it. This is the big one. This is the one that we've all been waiting for. We are the generation the world has been waiting for. We are the generation our planet has been waiting for. Extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have been waiting for. We are the ones, all the animals and everything on this planet has been waiting for us to wake up and remember our connection to all of us. We're all one.
Mm-hmm.
They've all been sitting back waiting for the humans to reach this level, and we're here. We're getting there. We're real close. We are the disclosure. We are the disclosure.
Yeah, I'm I'm a little surprised, like the way this generation too is, to me, with the internet and everything, they do got more connection in the world, and I mean, if you have a question about something, just Google it, whatever and it comes up the answers,
Exactly.
and so that's where I think it interconnects what you're saying. That's how we're all connecting around the world, because we could get the same answer. Anybody could Google the same question I have from any other country, India or Japan or anything, and it'll come up with the same answer. So I could see that being connecting. And besides, like before, you're saying like how the world is connected and stuff, and the Earth, Gaia, Mother Gaia. Yeah, I mean, anything ever happens, she always comes back. It doesn't matter what goes on, any disaster that happens in anywhere, she comes back. It could be from nuclear to just burning down a rainforest. They always
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
So I feel that she could heal. Gaia could heal, and that's
Yes.
interesting how you say that the place they take you to, like whatever, if it's a ship, it has like it's alive. It's just like the earth. It's alive. The earth is alive. It's always alive, but it's never growing out of the ground on whatever in the sea. Us just trampling it, you
Yeah,
know. So it's
we're
always
all
half life.
connected.
So that's interesting how the ship. Another question with the grays. You said there's so many different, and where you go, there's bunch. Do they got specific task? Like some are scientists, some are venture,
E-
some
e-
just take care of the ship, or you
Yes,
know.
every race of grays have a specific function, task, job, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
So one race may be all explorers, another race may be all genetic scientists, one race may be philosophers.
Okay.
It could go
Yeah,
on and on. So yeah,
they
and
each got their own task.
before they are created, those they are specifically designed for that purpose. Yeah. And by the way, they all have souls. They all have souls, and they all believe in a creator source.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
That's interesting. But I
Yeah,
have a feeling that the way um, we in this the last 100 years, how we went from you know doing everything physical to have machines start doing it for us. Even to turn the centuries with the gin mills and everything else, it was the way and I feel that they had something to do with showing somebody or just throwing a thought in somebody's head or in a bunch of
exactly.
different people's heads and
Hmm.
come up with these things, you
Yeah.
know, and to make
Well,
our lives a little easier.
well, they s- and they sent me to Mexico this past September with my oldest son, and they wanted me to meet a indigenous tribe. I flew into Mexico City, took
Oh,
a short flight to Oaxaca, and then I took a bus up a 3 hour bus ride up into these mountains and met this indigenous tribe of people called the Zapotec, and they're also called the people of the clouds. And they go back, their lineage goes back as far as the Mayans and the Incas. And
wow.
they wanted me and my son to meet them. Uh, they were on the verge of ascension, and all of a sudden it just plummeted, and they wanted us to go up there and witness. Are the most eco-friendly people I've ever seen in my life. When you go up there, everything is so eco-friendly. They're not they're Some of them have electricity, some of them don't. But even the ones that have electricity, they only really use it for light. They collect rainwater in cisterns, and outside of their home, they'll do their laundry and they'll do their cooking because it keeps the house at a cooler temperature. So they don't use
Mhm.
electricity for heating or cooling or laundry or cooking. So basically, it's just for the lighting. So, and they are very eco friendly in the sense that when you go to get rid of something like this bottle, well, they'll
Mhm.
have a garbage thing set up for organic, inorganic, recyclable, and these are poor people. These are people that they're not, it's not as bad as what we've seen as far as third world India or anything like that, but
Mhm.
they live very simply. But their connection with the earth and nature and the way that they live is amazing. It is amazing, and they do not waste anything. And
Yeah.
my son went with them. They go foraging through a forest, and they look for plants, and they were showing my son plants that are edible. And they were showing my son how, if you see, for example, a family, they call plants a family because they know that plants are living
Oh, this
conscious
wow.
beings.
Really?
They have an understanding of that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
understand their connection. So when they go through the foraging, if they come through a family of say mushrooms, they explain if there's a family of 5, you only take it at the most 3. You never take more than what you need, and you always leave room for that plant to continue growth. You don't just take the whole thing. And like a tree, if they don't need the whole tree, they would never destroy a whole tree. They might take a limb and then use the limb, but they always give whatever they take, they give it room to grow, and they have respect for it, and they just understand their connection. And I think back in eons ago, we used to know we used to understand that we had a connection, but because of the way that we've been programmed to live, we have lost our connections that we already knew, but these things are seated down still inside us, and in our hearts we know it. So it's time that not only do we reach higher consciousness, but we start looking within, ask ourselves who we are, not what the world around. For me, for example, not the Nancy the world around me has programmed me into being, but the Nancy, the soul, my inner self, the one that chose to come and be on earth. What is that Nancy like? What did Nancy come here, and what was her purpose of being a human and having the human experience? Not what this crazy people that control us and manipulate us have turned us into, because basically, I hate to say this, but we're basically living in a slave race. We are a slave to a system or an order of living that really no longer serves humanity. We are outgrowing things. Our banking systems are breaking down. Our religious systems are breaking down. And there was nothing wrong with them at one point in our life, in the life of humanity. It served a purpose and a function, but we are outgrowing certain ways and certain thinking, and it's time for us to use our higher consciousness. Wake up and realize our world is changing, and we have to change with it, but in a positive way, in a better human being way, and realize we are all one and we are all connected.
So that's really interesting. The way, I've been, interested in all this for a long time. Because, with us with the paranormal and some of the stuff that we go through, and what is, sometimes you think the stuff that we're seeing, could it be something from another planet that's interacting with us? And not in every location. I'm not saying, but some locations I go to that they say, well, it's haunted, and there's UFO sightings on the thing, and they see grays, or they see something, and sometimes it's like, what are we actually seeing?
I have actually had an experience with the interdimensionals and the tall grays, and there was an aquatic being and some humanoids, and I was taken on craft. I was an observer, and there were other humans on craft with me, and they were a female girl. And when I got there, they were all busy doing things, and I didn't really understand what was going on. So I asked the female companion or person on craft with me if she knew what was going on. And basically, what was going on is that we were on an explorer craft, and what they were looking for were, I didn't know what the word meant at the time, but cryptids. They were looking for creatures that were either had jumped their dimension. I don't know how they got to where they are, a tear in the fabric of time, or probably more a tear in a dimension. I don't really know how it happened, but I know that they were looking, and they had what would be equivalent to computer screens looking for heat sensor entities. And when they would see them, get them located, then everyone would get seated, and then I was only observing, they would take us to where this creature or cryptid was. They would send out their team, which was different extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, and they would go out and retrieve this creature or cryptid.
Wow.
Contain it, and then take it back to where it belonged, because they do not like for that to happen, because they're not out. They don't want human beings to go through fear unnecessarily. They don't, they were where they were not supposed to be, and it was creating havoc and fear. And that's what their sole job was, is to go out and get these creatures and take them back where they belong. Yeah.
That's interesting, because when it comes to cryptics and all that, well, being the field of what I'm in and we're in, I come across a lot of people that, Bigfoot and all these other kind of cryptics. And that's interesting if they are species or animals from another world that does slip through between.
That's exactly
dimensions or different time and stuff, because I mean, the people out there, they see them, they take pictures of these things. And when I encounter them, they really, these people talk about it like, yes, they're real.
And it explains why they never find any bones or anything of this sort, because really and truly, they're just exploring our dimension. They know they don't belong here, and they're just exploring. They're just as curious about us as we are them, or simply, you have to understand, our planet Earth is a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to explore it? It's beautiful. So, yeah, they're just like venturing out, but unfortunately, it does create a lot of drama, fear, and unnecessary havoc. So they will collect them and take them back.
Yeah. I mean, when they, where do they come from? Is there a galaxy nearby, universe? Where they, because it's a long way. I mean, it takes us light years to get out of the galaxy.
Okay.
I mean, light years is a long time. I'm assuming they have some.
For them, in their reality, in their world, there is no such thing as time.
Okay.
Human beings made up time. There is no such thing as time for them. Everything is happening here now, all at once.
Okay.
All at once. So, and as far as like they come from different dimensions, what we have to understand is dimensions are not physical places. Dimensions are higher consciousness. And us living in a 3D world, we're limited. We can only use our 5 senses to understand the world around us. They are above and beyond us in evolution. So what they can see, what they can do, what they can experience is far beyond what we can do. So as far as dimensions are kind of like, we can't see it, but they're kind of like layered. They're there. There's life going on all around us, even right now. There could be extraterrestrials and a spaceship right here in the room where you are, right here in the room with me. And we simply don't see it because of our only being able to see in our 5-dimensional world. But they can also come in and out of in our visible range. So they could be here, and they've proved this to me. They could be in here right now, invisible. And they've proved that to me by physically taking a clock in front of me that's not hooked up to electricity. It was battery operated, and taking the hands and doing around circles and hitting 4 o'clock. And then they would do it again, hit 4 o'clock. So they have affirmed themselves to me and what they can do. So, if they tried to do this with everybody in the world, people would freak out. I mean, and if they had done that with me 20 years ago, I probably would have freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
because your human brain can only handle so much at a given time. And it's like before the show, we were talking about how you experience things, but somehow it's blocked mentally, either by us or by them. We don't really know which. But then later on, we recall these events, and we're like, "What? What?
Yeah.
How did I overlook that? Why didn't I check this out?" So our brain protects us in a lot of ways.
Yeah. 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 Well, like I said, if they could be in a room, that maybe us as paranormal investigators is catching their shadows or something to do with them if they're invisible, because we
Well,
call
I
them
do.
spirits then.
Yeah,
We call them spirits, ghosts, or
those things
entities.
are real too. Those
Hmm.
things are in a different realm,
Hmm.
and they're very real because I have seen ghosts. I have
Hmm.
seen Bigfoot. I've seen a cryptid.
Hmm.
Uh, so they're real,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's some people that just don't want to understand. They don't want to know these
Closed-minded.
things, and they think
Hmm.
it's all woo, or whatever. But that's just because they've limited themselves into a narrow-minded world. But unfortunately, they're fixing to wake up because humanity as a whole, this is not just a few of us. It is going to be the whole world is waking up,
Hmm.
not all at once. And it's not like night and day. As a matter of fact, the way they explained it to me, it is so subtle. By the time we all reach a different dimension, we won't even realize that our lives had to be changed. We won't even realize that we're seeing things that we didn't see before because it would just be so subtle. And we'll just think it's always been that way. That's the way they explained it to me. Yeah. Because everything has to be done in a beautiful design way. And if you
Hmm.
look at how the whole earth is made and even our bodies and things, it's done with a beautiful design, beautiful intention. And it was all done with high intelligence.
Mm.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's the when we pass, when we die,
Hmm.
do our souls, what we call them souls, I don't know what they may call it, something else, or what
No, it's
do
souls.
they
Yeah.
consider them souls also? Do we go from here and go to the ship, or you know what I
We
mean?
are immortal. When our bodies, we are in a human costume, a vessel, so to speak. We'll
Skin
call it a
suit, that's what we
vessel.
call them.
Yeah. We are in a vessel. And when this vessel ceased to exist, and a lot of that is done because we are programmed to think that we become old. We are programmed to think that our lives end. So a lot of these things will change because we're going to learn to become more positive and get rid of a lot of this programming.
Hmm.
But kind of like rewiring the biological clock, so to speak. But basically, when this body dies, our soul and our consciousness are not in a organ in our body. Our soul and our consciousness moves on into not into a craft or anything like that, but it moves up into a higher dimension. And when we get to that higher dimension, it is decided at that point whether we have experienced all that we wanted to experience here on earth. If we have not, some choose and you go before, like what I saw with a group of elders that understand the spiritual side of your soul side and whatever contracts that you have agreed upon. We all have free will and we made a choice to be here. So they look at that, and if everybody's in agreement, if you haven't reached those experiences and goals, you will come back and experience being a human again. If you have reached it all, you can experience being an extraterrestrial, a dolphin, or whatever you decide. Or if you want to, you can stay in an etheric state and reside at the highest dimension and just stay there as long as you want forever. And there is no end. And, it's just like there are many universes, many galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
We are basically, our soul goes on and on and on and can have so many experiences. Mm-hmm. This is not our end at all.
It's our beginning or part of our journey.
Yes.
It's still part of our journey.
Coming to Earth is a learning experience, and our past lives and memories are removed from us. It's just like, for me, they showed me in a vision where I was a interdimensional being and chose to be here to help humans understand these things. But when I was born, my memories were wiped out, and they have activated these things throughout my life to bring it out. And then finally the Kundalini experience to open my subconscious and help me to remember. So, and the way I understand it, future generations of humans, these new children being born, their DNA is more activated than ours. We have so much of our DNA that's never even been activated because they have purposely kept us dumbed down. Our pineal gland is crystallized because of all the toxins that we consume. So these things will change, and future humans will be born with being more telepathic, more higher intelligence, a better understanding of who they were before they got to Earth, remembering past life, and that washing out of past life and memories, from what I've been told and seeing visions of, will cease to happen. But I do understand why they did that. I asked them why they don't make that decision. That has to do with the creator source. But they said to me, what would be your purpose to come into Earth if you already knew everything? And I'm like, maybe I would just like it. And they were, but so they had a very insightful answer for me, is that we're here to learn, and if we think we know things before we get here, then we won't try to learn new things, so I understood what they meant, and it made sense, but there's so many questions. And I understand too, a lot of people ask me, why don't they come down here, stop this war? Why don't they come down here and cure all diseases? They cannot do that because they are under a cosmic law. They obey a cosmic law that says they cannot interfere with humanity. We are here on free will, and we made a choice to be here, and we make our own choices. They cannot interfere. So for me, though, they can interfere because I was an interdimensional who went through them to get here. So they can tweak on me, and if I have a little cancer or something, they can cure it. Where other people, you may have a soul contract to where, for one, maybe you didn't want to have a old life. Maybe you only wanted to have a short life as a human, or maybe you wanted to experience something specific, and they cannot interfere with these soul contracts. And from what I understand, soul contracts are real, and people have a say in what they're going to experience here. Which, it's disturbing. I'm not going to lie, I find that a little disturbing, but I understand that there's so much that we do not know and probably will never know or understand, so. And I don't claim to know everything, and I can't say, I can't disagree with anything, but I can't say I'm happy with some things that I've learned.
Yeah. Well, people that are psychics, do they have they give them abilities, or their abilities like from another form of gray or something, or to
No, we all have the ability to be psychic, but and all of that is stems in our pineal gland, and our pineal glands are crystallized, and that's because of the toxins in the air, the food, all these things, our environment. So once we realize this and things start changing, we will become more psychic. We will become, we will start to see these abilities. And you have to understand, back in the old days when people were intuitive or psychic, they were considered demonic, or witches were demonic,
witches, yes.
and they would hang them. So this was a lot of this. If people had these talents, it was suppressed because of the way they were not be accepted within humanity. So
Hmm.
it's been discouraged big time. So there's a lot of people that would be ashamed to tell you that they've been had an extraterrestrial experience as well. It's just, it takes time for people to feel comfortable and trust the people around them, because humans can be very judgmental.
Yeah, like I said, we went through. I grew up with seeing things since the age of 3 years old,
Yeah,
spirits and hearing things, and so that's how I actually got into what I'm doing at a young age.
yeah,
So people are very judgmental, and and they don't want to hear any of
exactly.
thing you have to say. So that's yeah.
That's true.
So that's anything that you have to. When I before I start talking about stuff with the spirits, or paranormal, or any of the stuff we do, I always ask somebody, "You into those ghost shows?" And I always throw something out there, and then they say, "Yeah." And then there's also it's like, "Woo, okay." Or if you're walking somewhere and you hear somebody talking about the paranormal or something with ghosts, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's like you're walking the crowd, you hear that one person like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" It's like, it's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful, and it's better now than it's ever been,
Hmm.
and I'm so thankful for that. But it's not completely over,
Hmm.
But we're getting there, And I think too the fact that people are waking up, and everywhere you look, you see people talking about consciousness, higher frequencies and vibration. And these things are very important. And that is what is stemming us to reach a higher evolutionary stage, is becoming, our frequencies are changing and getting higher, and which means we're vibrating at higher levels. And the way I understand it, as we evolve and go through our process of evolution,
Hmm.
and this is exactly what happened with the interdimensionals and extraterrestrials. As they evolve, all hatred, racism, all these things dissolve. They are no longer part of life. And all those things were designed to keep us apart. And
Hmm.
we're dissolving all that, and we're getting better and becoming better human beings. And eventually we will get to the point to where there is no wars, and there is no uh, negativity or disease or poverty,
Hmm.
will all function and work together as one, And it's a beautiful thing. They've showed me visions of it, and it's a beautiful thing. This is the most beautiful time for humans to be alive. We are in this is just a pivotal, beautiful moment, and we are experiencing it. We are all lucky to be alive to, we may not be here for I don't know how long this will take, but we are the stepping stones, at least, to help make the futures better for our grandchildren's children. Or, I
Hmm.
hope it's sooner than later, but we have to start somewhere. And we're
Hmm.
going to be the generation, I think, that goes down in history that started making a difference in becoming better human beings.
Yeah. It, with a lot of this stuff, going on with the world now, with all this, we got hopefully it happens before we destroy ourselves.
Yeah.
Weather pat. I know last month was great for eclipse, meteor showers. What else? The alignment of planets and everything. So
Yeah.
I think that was a great month for, you know, I don't know if that affects anything that they do up there.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, they maybe they have a holiday when the planets line up. I don't know. You know.
Well, look at this. Look how many things I know, how many things I saw about the world was going to end,
Hmm.
all these negative things, and it never happened.
Hmm.
So, what we have to do is continue and work towards being more positive. And when we see something negative like that, we replace those thoughts with two positive thoughts,
Yeah.
realizing that those things are being done on purpose to keep us separated, to keep us
Hmm.
in a negative, fearful um, life. And we step up and say, no more. I want to be a positive, happy person, and I want everyone around me to feel my frequency, feel my beautiful, positive energy, and start doing this. And it's kind of like the common cold. It becomes contagious. Everybody wants to have that feeling because it feels good, and it will spread. It will spread. So we just have to start changing our thinking and not think negative. And I personally, I don't watch the news or anything. You know,
Hmm.
I know that they're doing it intentional. They want to keep people in havoc and
Yes.
fretful, and that's how diseases start. Is from feeling negative, and you know if we can maintain, we can have better health if we maintain being positive, happier person,
Yeah.
and trying to make the world around us see the beauty in it, not the ugly negative things.
Hmm.
And you just make a habit of seeing the beautiful aspects of things, and
Hmm.
eventually you'll just start doing it. It just happens.
Yeah. It's like people, they just be happy with what they got instead of what they feel like they should have.
Right.
Happy what you got, family, life. It's not all about money.
Yeah.
It's not all about money, health. If you
Yeah.
have, if I wake up in the morning, got breath in my lungs, I'm happy. It shows
Lucky to
I
be
got another
alive.
day. Yeah, it's another day I got out here. You
Yep.
know,
And it
so
can be a good and happy, fun day.
yes.
We kind of create our own reality. So if you
Hmm.
wake up grumpy and in a bad mood,
Hmm.
every people, it makes other people that way. Where if you wake up happy and joyful, it perks them up. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just a normal sense of being if you think about it, and it's something very simple and inexpensive to do, and it works. It's very effective.
yeah, yeah. It's what with the you said there's some that are like amphibians or from the ocean, or do they live in our oceans? Are they particularly around bases in the ocean, or because I know
Well,
it's like um, the octopus and they say they have DNA from aliens, and and how the dolphins communicate, and even the whales. You know,
oh yeah, they are they're of a higher consciousness, and they're very aware of, and they understand their connection with everything.
hmm.
Um, the aquatic beings, I know that in ours, they are not hiding. For example, let's just start with this. They are not hiding from us. Our skies are teeming with activity, extraterrestrial
Hmm.
craft. We simply cannot see it. Some people can get night vision binoculars with infrared lighting in it, and they can actually see these craft. Some people are more aware of and have no mental block or barrier and able to see crafts. I can see crafts, not necessarily all over the sky,
Hmm.
but Yeah, I do know that there's lots of people that buy these and purchase these night vision goggles and have the infrared lights and they see things. And I've seen video footage of it.
I got
And
blind.
I know the Army, they have military grade where they can see all these things.
Yeah, military grades, really.
And from what they have shown me and expressed to me, our solar system is teeming with life. We just simply can't see it. And they may not live like we do on the top surface of Earth, So, for example, like Venus is a very, very hot planet. Well, they could be living up in the atmosphere. They could be living, and a lot of extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, actually live on huge motherships. They originated possibly at one time from a planet, but most of them, we have a very short lifespan compared to any other beings in the universe. They live much, much longer than we do. So a lot of them live their whole lives on a mothership, and they transfer. I know, like the positive in the interdimensionals, a lot of them travel throughout different universe and different galaxies looking for beings that are reaching higher consciousness to introduce them into the cosmic realm, because that's where we're headed, is understanding our place, our origins. That junk DNA is not junk. We are extraterrestrial, and we have that in our DNA, and we are headed towards being a member of the cosmic realm, and we're going to understand our place, our origin, and our significance, and how important we are. And we are very unique in the fact that we can become interdimensional with their assistance, whereas these lower level extraterrestrials cannot, because they are not in good grace. They are been excommunicated from the interdimensionals. The positive extraterrestrials can travel interdimensional because they were given the technology and the assistance, and that's where they will assist us. They're not going to do everything for us, but they will assist us, and we will become interdimensional ourselves. Now, I don't know what time frame that will be, but I know that it will eventually happen for human beings. We are very, very special and very unique.
Yeah, we spoke in some other people that through other interviews that we have done on the show. Some with the with the UFOs and all the sightings and everything. Some believe that they actually they mate with earthling and making like what do you call
Hybrids.
it? Yeah, hybrids. Do you believe in that, or is that just
Well, I know we are all souls, and I know that we've had past lives and we will have future lives. It could be that a soul, an earth soul, had a previous mate with an extraterrestrial, and maybe that was their way of trying to reconnect, and maybe because of the cosmic law, they couldn't tell the earthling woman or the earthling man, you were my soulmate, in a past life. There's so much to this. It gets really out there and really complicated. And I also know that one group of Greys, are genetic scientists and researchers. So they were doing research genetically to have hybrids, and those hybrids, it would make sense to me that these ladies all have a very similar story. I didn't experience it, but it has to be true. There's too many women that have claimed the same thing, and I do know that that particular group was excommunicated from the interdimensionals and positives because of what they did. So I do know that those offspring, there's stories of women later meeting them and having interactions, and that makes perfect sense to me, that because of them being half human and half extraterrestrial, they would need to have that bond. They would need to know, because they would have emotions and feelings that an extraterrestrial would not have, and they would not be able to meet all those needs. So it would make sense that they would come back and get the mother to come and have playtime and visitation. So there's so many reasons why these things could happen and what it could mean. It could be research, or it could be a partner from a past life. There's so many different reasons. So I think these things are real. They're definitely real. I don't think people are making up these stories.
Yeah. That's interesting. That really
It
is.
is very interesting.
You're like, whoa, they got their own bordella.
I can tell you this. I can tell you this. When I'm on craft,
Mhm.
I always have a group of peers that are evaluating me, watching me, taking notes, mental notes. And I'm purposely do not make eye, I see them, but I do not make eye to eye contact, because I know they are my family. I know I have family up there, and I know that they're watching me, and, evaluating and taking notes. So for me, though, I love being a human being. I love being a mother. I love being a grandmother. I love being alive.
Mhm.
So I am not ready to, and I know how I feel about the gray that I'm bonded with. I know that I love her and we're bonded, and I have very deep feelings for her. And I know that I have family that are interdimensionals watching me, but I'm not ready to have that emotional uh, feelings come flooding in me, and have that knowing of, and that knowing of love and how I feel, because I'm not done here. I'm not done here on earth.
Mhm.
And right now, this is what's most important to me. And I don't want to, and they're not forcing me to.
Mhm.
It's important that I have my life here and experience my experience here. They're not
Mhm.
pushing me. So they don't just make me have eye contact. It's kind of like a agreement that we know, I know they're there, they know I'm here,
Mhm.
but we don't interfere. You know, I don't know that. I know that sounds weird, but it's
I so be so you were gray at one time, and then they.
no. I was an interdimensional. I was a humanoid, about 7 or 8 foot tall, and I was a female. And I don't exactly know how my sons were attached to me there, but they came with me here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like what some religions believe to be like a reincarnation.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So yeah, you're coming from another type of being to.
I went from, I saw my soul go into the fetus. I saw that. Yes.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And
Yes.
interactive being, that means you came from another planet, or
I was on a ship, is all I remember.
you
I
on a
was on a
ship?
ship.
Okay.
And I do know this, like as far as names, like
You
people
want to get
say,
some water? Get some water.
got this.
Drink.
But like people say, well, what is that Gray's name? What are those interdimensional names? Well, we as humans try to humanize everything. There
Mhm.
is no humanizing extraterrestrials or interdimensionals, where we use names, and you'll hear people write books and come up with names. But everything is done telepathic. Everybody has their own frequency signature. That is like our name, like you call me Nancy,
Mhm.
because we speak verbally. But in their world, it's all telepathic. So there is telepathic signatures. So in other words, they don't go when they're telepathically talking to me, they don't go, "Hey, this is George." I
Yeah,
mean, because
yeah.
I already know who
Who
it
it is.
is. I don't know how to explain it. They are at such billions of years ahead of us in evolution and
Mhm.
intellect. And there is no humanizing. So when they speak to me, I know exactly who it is, and they don't have to tell me who they are.
That's interesting. They,
Yeah.
do they have mouths, noses? Because they
Yes.
don't need. They do.
Yes. They do eat, but they don't. For them, the way that we consume food is like we treat it like it's a beautiful,
Oh
wondrous
yeah, you kidding?
thing. For them, it is strictly nourishment. It
Hmm.
is not a glamorous ordeal. So they do not eat 3 meals a day. They do not eat every day. They eat when they feel their body needs nourishment, and they do not eat the kinds of food that we eat. And the grays do not eat through their mouth. They make a nutrient substance, okay, a paste, and
Okay.
they'll take the paste and they rub it in on their skins. It is absorbed in, the nutrients are absorbed in, and then it is excreted through the skin. And that's how the grays do that. They would not touch our food, they would not drink our water. No interdimensionals or extraterrestrials would. They don't like our air, they don't like our water, they don't like our food because it's full of toxins. So these cattle mutilations and things, that is not from extraterrestrials. These are scare tactics that have been created by uh, different dark hat fractions of government, Illuminati, cabal, all these different things that want to keep humanity in fear, because as long as we are in fear, we are not connected.
Hmm.
And also, they've always known that these positive and the interdimensionals were coming. So they want to make it less attractive as possible so that we don't trust, so that we
Hmm.
are in fear. So everything they did was done intentionally to keep us from understanding who we are and why this is occurring now.
Um, you know,
Yeah, it's a lot.
yeah, that is. It's interesting, and how
It
they
is.
absorb it through their skin and everything, and
Yeah, they just
food, and
it's all a nutrient.
so
It's
it's not a
it's
taste. Like I need my people know in the audience, Todd and Camilla and Jenny. I need my cannolis.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need my cannolis. Hey, without my cannolis, it's not a day.
Yeah. Well, I'm Taurus, so food. I love food, but I do know, and I noticed my son. He's also a Taurus, but as he gets more downloads, he is becoming more conscious of what he eats, and he's becoming he has an understanding that we are what we eat, and he has an understanding that he can reach higher consciousness by controlling what he eats, and that he can activate his DNA through better choices of foods. And I know these things, but I'm a little slower to converting over to giving up cannolis and things like
Yeah,
that.
everything that has taste. No good for you. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm gonna eat it anyway.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
even our the United States, to compare to someplace like Germany, we are such an obese country,
yeah.
and our FDA, what is approved here, is not approved in European countries at all.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And even some of their fatty foods, like in their sausages, like German brats and all those
The
things,
brats. Yeah, the
they're
bratwurst.
even healthier than what we have here. I
Yeah,
mean,
I've seen stuff like that. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like we put more crap in our foods here than any other country.
And that's a big problem. That keeps us unhealthy, keeps us at a lower intelligence, and it
Mhm.
gives us shorter lifetimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's but the food tastes good. Gotta eat it. Gotta eat.
Well, that's
It's
because we've been programmed to think like that.
yeah. Well, like I said, growing up Italian.
Yeah,
Yeah, every meal you eat for every. You're sad, you eat. You're happy, you eat. Yeah, anything, any kind of emotion, you eat.
emotional.
Sundays, the big
Yeah,
Sunday meal. Family gets together. Family sits down and have good meals. Friends, you get together with your friends. You have to sit down and have a good meal. That's, but that's our fun too. It's like
yeah,
so that's. I mean,
exactly. I understand.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if the Greys understand that. Sitting around saying,
No, they don't.
rubbing paste on each other. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's just you know, and they don't sleep like we do either. They don't require as much sleep. So
Oh, really? No.
mhm.
Well, I don't get much sleep anyway, so maybe I'm a Grey somewhere.
You could be, yeah.
It's like, what sleep?
Mhm.
You know?
But I know that even like the Nordics and the Palladians and stuff, food is strictly a nutritional event. They don't require much sleep or much food, so
Mhm.
they stay very tall and very thin. Yeah.
Yeah. So, wait a minute. Yeah, I can't say food. No food. Wait a minute.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They showed me they like to socialize. You know, they have their version of games and they have music,
Mhm.
their versions of art. So and they have areas where they socialize and entertain each other, and
Mhm.
so it's not all just no fun. They and I've seen they don't have the full humor. We're the most emotional beings. Uh,
Yeah.
Probably of all the beings, but some of them do have, and I can, like when I'm on craft with the extraterrestrials and the interdimensionals regulars,
Mhm.
I can sense inflection in their telepathic messages. So if it's a stern command, I sense that. If it's a little comical, I can sense that. And I
Mhm.
can also uh, understand what, male and female. It
Okay.
comes across as male or female. Well, what's really strange is the female gray, when she's down here getting me and preparing me for our adventure up. Um, when she talks to me telepathically, it's not male or female, and there is no inflection. I mean, it's flat, and it's just it doesn't sound male or female. It's just it's just there.
Mm.
So that's unusual.
Yeah. 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 So they have parties. I mean, what we see and what as listening. They have social. They have social lives, and they besides what they do, because you think they're up in this big tin machine up there floating around space that everything is so robotic,
But
you
it's
know.
not.
But they
It is
have
not.
that's okay. All
Yeah.
right,
And
that makes
Grays
sense.
have they will have one partner, and they'll have a relationship,
Hmm.
and they will have usually one offspring, but it's not done like it's more like a test tube type
Okay.
genetic baby.
All
But
right.
they use their DNA and the partner's DNA, and they decide like what their task or what what their service to their community will be. I guess is what they
Oh,
call it.
okay.
Yeah,
So they're like husband and wife, or just
yeah, yeah.
okay. So they do have mates.
Yes, yes.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm learning a lot tonight. I'm learning a lot about the Greys and stuff. Because, like I said, what I see is what I see in drawings and movies, and you know,
Yeah,
and
it's a lot of
interesting.
misinformation because for one, there's over 63 different races of them. Yeah.
When they intermingle, they all intermingle together, or they have their own little.
It's really strange. They have what's called a hive mind, which means they have a collective consciousness, so they kind of all share. But the one rogue race is not part of that collective consciousness anymore because they overstepped the boundaries. But the rest of them, they all kind of, whatever one thinks they all know, the information is all shared.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, you go to a party. Something you always got that one person sitting in the back and not enjoying them. I'm always a person trying to get them involved. But the way they sound, like you go to the party, everybody's involved right off the bat. You don't, that sounds interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm learning a lot tonight. Maybe they'll take me up there and have a party with me too. That'd be cool.
I tell you that I think the best way, if you truly mean that, is to meditate with pure intention and ask for positive face-to-face contact, ask for patience, which they would give anyway. But, they're not going to push you any more than what you can handle. They know what you're thinking. They know. They know. So, but if you're willing to try, I'm sure they're willing. They're open to.
That's interesting.
To make that happen, because their goal is to interact with us and be part of us. But we have to want that. They're not going to force themselves on us. They are not here to take over or control. They are here to assist, give a helping hand. So,
yes, assist with this. Yeah. I watched that show. What do you call it? Oh wow! I just went blank. Senior moment. I just got a senior moment. Oh boy, hey, Skinwalker Ranch. And I watched that, and I was like, all the things that they're doing, and they're to me, they're going that extra yard to see if there's anything out there, and how they shoot rockets up, and they shoot to the away from something like this, like there's something in that space, and they had so many, like 30 feet up, 40 feet up, and there's something in that space. Even the helicopter was flying, and all of a sudden it got pushed over like there was something there, and they had radar.
Yeah, those things are real. There's vortexes. The Earth has different grids. I know that even if you just look, it's unusual, like the way that all the pyramids are placed. Like for one, every one of them has like a water system under it, way down deep under the ground, and they're all in position to the Orion's belt. So there's things about our planet we don't even understand, So, and there's a lot about our ocean floors that we have never even explored.
Yeah.
So
we see more out of space than they're under the water.
Yeah. And it's strange too that we know more about space, I think, than we know about our own oceans.
Yeah. Maybe there's something behind that also. You never know.
Exactly. And there's a lot of things about Antarctica that seems like they don't want us to know. I mean, and there's more than one place that is a no-fly zone. There's got to be reasons for that.
Yeah.
There's something there that they know, but they don't want the world to know.
Yeah. There's some place if you go on Google Maps and you go into that region and you'll see everything around it, but that one area is all blacked out.
Yeah.
And there's so many of that, and like I said, there might be something behind that. I don't know. I really think the government has something to do with all that, interacting with, and they make deals here and there, and
I think they have. They're sitting on some technology and stuff. So
yeah.
And I think now a lot of it, the problem is that the government in the past made some, like, did some agreements or treaties with some fractions of extraterrestrials, and they didn't necessarily stick to what they were supposed to. So now our government doesn't know who to trust.
Okay.
You know, they don't know. So,
Well, what do you think about Area 51?
it's real.
It's real.
There was a crash. Yeah.
And they actually.
There was more than one crash. There were several crashes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the only one was reported.
The others were, but they weren't, they didn't hit the mainstream media like the one did.
Okay.
But they were definitely fully aware of it, and it was, the government took care of it, but it didn't, like I said, for whatever reason, I think they weren't all discovered at the same time either. That was another thing too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah, and they said that they actually had bodies, and they had them, and they were looking at, you know, that's interesting, because I figured, you know, if the government had the gray bodies, I think the grays would say, hey, let's give them back, especially if you're so very family oriented, like, you know, I want my body back, you know.
The story is that there were bodies, but there was a couple that were alive, and at least one that stayed alive for a while and helped the government to gain technology. But it took a long time for them to learn to communicate with him, you know. And if the story is correct, eventually, over a period of time, there was a meeting where the Graves came down to Holloman Air Force Base, and there was an exchange, and they gave our government they gave the bodies to them, and they gave our government a communication device.
Oh.
And if the story is straight, that's not the only visitation that the government has had with extraterrestrial race. Another race came, and they could not even breathe our air, and they had to make special arrangements for them. But even the Grays, from what I understand, they never stepped out of their craft. Whoever went on board their craft, and the exchanges were made, but they never came out of their craft.
They breathe oxygen and carbon monoxide. What do they breathe?
So the Grays could, if I understand correctly, but they don't particularly like the density here on Earth, so they did not come out of their spacecraft. And that's why I know that the interdimensionals and tall grays designed the hybrids that come down for me, because they're in their DNA, they're designed to do this because of the density here on Earth. And the other species that came down, it was a word I'd never even heard of, and it's not something that I've seen people write about even, but they were of a different base of they could not breathe our air, and they did some kind of exchange, and they received a communication device from them as well.
But to communicate with them?
Yes.
That's it. Wow. So the White House could call them up anytime they want.
Well, no, from what I understand, there's a lot of stories out there that Eisenhower was involved, but from what I understand, he was not even there. This was something that the military did, and he was not wise to the whole story. Our presidents do not know everything that's going on.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I think that's pretty evident when you look back. Wasn't it Eisenhower and Truman told us, beware of the or beware of governments, and I don't know. He gave us a warning in his leaving office speech about beware of the powers that be, because it happened a long time back, probably around the Roswell event, that they started leaving presidents and stuff out of those things. You have to realize presidents are temporary position holders, and these things take years of research, and they probably don't want to risk letting a president know. So it kind of makes sense to me that they would not do that. And they don't have to worry about them mistakenly being probed into answering something that they're not ready for the world to know. So
do they have like spies in our government or all any
Men in
government?
Black, yes,
The Men in Black.
yes.
So the Men in Black are pretty much like their spies, and they go in.
They're called. They don't call them Men in Black. They're called disinformation agents. Yeah.
Well, I seen that movie too with that thing that erases everybody's memory.
Yeah, I don't know that they had stuff like that, but they are disinformant agents, and their sole purpose was to address a crash or address a situation. And if they were told to tell the people, this is not it, this is, it's just like Project Blue Book. Hynek was told, tell them it was something else, and that was his job. And these disinformant agents were doing their job. It's just like when my brother was in Desert Storm, he had to do a lot of things he's not proud of, but he did his job. He worked for the government, and he was told to do something, and he did it. So it's the same thing, and that's what people have to understand. Even though we were suppressed information for 70 to 80 years, and a lot of things were hidden from us, and a lot of not so nice things were done, we need to be a forgiving nation. Things were done that we cannot change. We have no control over. It's in the past. It was done for a reason, and it served a purpose at the time. And we have to be a forgiving nation and understand that we are here today because of the things that have happened, whether it was good or bad. We are here today, and it's what we do from here out and our behaviors that matters, not anything that's happened in the past. That's in the past. And so,
because some of that stuff I heard, back with the presidents, and I follow some stuff too. And they said that they signed things that they would give them so many humans for information, and I don't know about all that, but
you have to understand a lot of that stuff is misinformation, and you have to understand some people are hired by the government to be disinformant agents. And I'm sure, just like today, there's some people that you may think are in the paranormal field or in ufology, and actually they are disinformants. They're putting out false information because that's their job, and it is to keep humanity separated. So we have to be careful, and it's good that we question everything. We should, people should question me. Everybody should do their own research. Everybody should form their own opinions. Look into your heart and follow your heart, and your gut feelings on things, because, I'm telling you the truth, but then who wouldn't say they're telling you the truth? So, and anybody that I look at what they're saying or doing, I check it out.
I listen to everybody's stuff with an open mind on anything anybody tells me, because doing what I do is paranormal, people, how people very, very much want to judge you right away and disapprove you. It's like they look at you like, oh, what's wrong with you or something, and you got to look at it with an open mind and just open up and just, all right, that could be. You know, and if
Absolutely.
somebody's telling you a story, that means they believe in it. They actually believe in it. They're not making it up just because they believe what they see and what they've been doing. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
so yeah, you have to go
So,
with an open mind.
and we have to also keep in mind that some people believe in something so much, to them it's real, but it may not be. So that's why we have to use our own intellect, use our own mind, and not be swayed. We need to do our own research. We need to know in our hearts the truth about things,
Hmm.
and we've been lied to for so long.
Hmm.
Nobody knows what to believe,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. They just want you to believe. It's like if they keep us apart, it's like a hand. Your fingers are all apart. You slap somebody, it stings. But
yeah,
you get everybody together, all the fingers. Now you got to punch. It's stronger. They don't want it stronger. They want it individually.
right.
They don't
And
want
you
it.
think about this,
It doesn't matter what they do.
humanity as a whole is a whole big number.
Yeah.
No, there is no stopping humanity once we all come together as one.
Hmm.
It's unbelievable. It's a
A lot,
beautiful thing. Yeah.
very strong. We could be strong as a nation. We could be strong as everything. You know,
Hmm.
it's we got like another couple more minutes, whatever.
Okay.
Do you want to? How can people get in touch with you, or do you have a website? Do you have anything? You know.
Yes, the website is timefordisclosure.com, and I have a Facebook group that's time for disclosure slash we have never been alone slash we are the disclosure. I truly believe that. So yes, and I belong to a lot of extraterrestrial consciousness, paranormal, all kinds of sites, remote viewing, all these different sites, and they're all wonderful and they all cooperate and work together and support each other. So I encourage everyone to check them out. It's good about giving you good resources to learn things, good resources if you want to find meetup groups or find groups that get together and share information, or groups that just locally or even
Mhm.
Zoom or whatever get together and communicate with one another. It's excellent resources for that. And I try to have a little bit of all that information in there. And also for people that might have some mental issues with understanding some of this, we have places where you can seek therapists where to help you to understand some of these experiences on whether you feel like it was good or bad, or just
Yeah.
figure out what it was. So we have there's sites that help people with that too. So it's just endless and it's beautiful, and it's just, I think it's a wonderful thing for anyone.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful that there
Mhm.
are people out there to help people understand. You know, because it could be a dramatic experience. You know, it's something you don't understand, and it's all of a sudden, you're on the ship or whatever you might be, and you would to us
Well,
the
I mean,
aliens. You know.
if you were told all your life something is demonic and it happens to you,
Hmm.
what better place to go than a mental therapist and talk about it, because it it's probably not a mental thing. It's probably you, but a lot of us need affirmations that we are saying,
Yeah.
So, and people can go to these places and you're not judged. They're used to having thousands of people with these questions because it's a strange world we live in.
Hmm.
And it's going to become even stranger the more that we go through disclosure, and the more that we reach higher consciousness and our awareness opens up. We're going to see more things, we're going to
Hmm.
experience more things, and everybody needs to know that it's okay to go and seek a little help and ask information. That's what they're
Yeah.
there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. I went through a long time with you not be allowed to talk. Like I said, I started seeing stuff when I was at the age of 3 and everything, and all the way up to like 2004 when the paranormal shows started coming on. really couldn't talk. You did talk, and you got judged and everything. After 2004, it started opening up a lot, and I felt that when I started going to the paracons, and I'm active in the paracons. I got tables there and everything, and I meet all the people. But when I started going to a paracon, my first paracon was what was it, Hudson Valley Paracon? I forgot which one. I've been to so many, but the first time I walked in, I had all the same people, and I could talk to people, and it felt like a thing coming off my chest because you're talking to people that know what you're talking. They're not judging you; they're listening to you. They're not giggling behind your back or giving you a twisted look or anything when you talk about it. So it was such a great feeling.
It
So
is.
when you have somebody like a therapist or somebody to talk to about what you guys experience, being that must be great. So I would love to have
It
that.
is. And there's all kinds of Zoom meetings where people can come together
Mm-hmm.
and you can use your camera or not use your camera, until you get comfortable. You can just approach it any way you want to. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. And I think people would enjoy going to these
Mm-hmm.
conventions you're talking about too, because
Yeah.
nothing better than meeting like-minded people
Mm-hmm.
and having those opportunities. It's like taking a chip off your shoulders. It really is.
Yeah. Anybody with those experience in the audience, I know that's on the East Coast by where I am. We have Pine Bush, and Pine Bush has the UFO Paranormal Museum, and every year, I think it's in June, they shut down the whole street. It's all got to do with the more with aliens and UFOs, and then they have the museum has it in the location where they actually have all the people that write books and experienced, and they come there and they give a seminar, which is I think is great because when I first went there, I didn't realize how many you know I, you know I do what I do, people do what they do, but I didn't realize how many people that are into it and they stargaze all the time and
Oh yeah.
they got these cameras. I mean, they could take pictures of a fly on the moon's butt. That's
Oh,
it
I
zooms
know.
right in. It's like
And
whoa,
computerized. Yeah.
yeah,
Like, some
computerized
people
and
got a lot of
everything.
money invested in that stuff, and it's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's very interesting. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. So that's what I was like when I first went there. I was like, wow, the paranormal or but it was UFO stuff, and I was like very happy to be part of it. We went there and my friends were talking there and everything. So it was nice, a nice little
It
time.
is fun. Yeah.
Then you got the guys walking around with the like the like they're all dressed up in the like they're grays or
Oh
some
yeah.
kind of aliens or something like that. And of
Yeah.
course they're green, but they're walking around in
Yeah.
suit and everything. So it's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice. So
I like it when it's more, for me. I like it when it's more intellectual, and you go to listen to the speakers,
mhm.
and you see the science of everything.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
there's definitely a science side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where they have the separate area where they have people speaking about the
that would be
stuff and
fun.
everything. But then they also have the street closed down, and people put tables out
Yeah,
there.
where they just have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But that's how you get people to come in. They come there for the tables and all these little gadgets they could buy, whatever they could buy. But then they get to see the conference or people selling books or people experiencing things or you know,
Well, it's like dipping your toe in a pond and
yeah.
realizing, whoa, that feels nice. And then it just expands. You get real
Exactly,
interested in it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And gives people a chance to talk about it. Like I said, I never talked about my experience, and it's not like, and it happened like right before. I told you with I lost time on the highway. I was on exit 60, and next thing I know, there's a lightning storm in front of me, and I'm on exit 40, and I'm on a highway, pouring rain, everything, and I lost time. And then when I got there, my GPS says I got another half hour added onto
Wow.
my time to get home. And I think, how did I get here? It was a crazy time.
Yeah.
I never talked
That
about
is.
how I went to this the festival, the UFO thing in Pine Bush, and that was, to me, that was like, I
That's
didn't think
awesome.
anything of it. I didn't think
Yeah.
anything of it.
Yeah. That's
So
neat.
yeah. So I want to thank you for coming, for
Thank
being
you
on
for
the show.
having me. Yeah,
You
this is
know,
very important to me. Like I said, this is not about me. This is a worldwide phenomenon, and this affects humanity all over the world. And I truly think all of human beings are the disclosure. We are the disclosure. We're very unique and very beautiful beings, and we live on a beautiful planet, and we have everything in the world to look forward to, and we're all a part of it. So I think that's really special.
yeah. I just Ronald, the guy who runs all this with the show and everything. He he's in all that UFO stuff and everything, and he's going to Pine Bush. So June 1st, it's on in this year. The Pine
Awesome.
Bush.
Send
So
me the information on it.
yeah, I mean that's awesome. It's a nice little. It's fun. It's in
Yeah.
Pine Bush, New York. So Ron drives 25 hours. Where's he coming from? What? Oh, Missouri. And he drives across the country just to get to this thing. It's 25 hours for him to drive.
Awesome. Yeah.
He gets there. And then he stays with a couple of people there. But it's a Missouri. Yep.
Awesome.
So
Yeah. I have my
okay.
mother and father live in the state of New York, and my brother lives in the state of New York. So, yeah,
Oh, that's
I'm
good.
going to visit. I don't remember exactly when we talked about, but yeah, that would be cool if I could.
June 1st. You look
Okay.
into that. I mean, it's a nice little day out, and you get to meet some people. And since what you're going through, there's the UFO museum there, and the guy
Oh,
Lance,
I would love to.
he's
Yeah,
the director, and he does an awesome job there.
that would be amazing. That would be neat. So,
Yeah,
shoot me a little message and remind me of the date if you don't mind.
yeah, sure, sure. I'm going to have to go this year now. Right.
Yeah, you've committed.
If you're there, that'd be great. Well, we meet.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
great. We meet in person.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to try the cannolis.
Get the cannolis. Hey, you got to bring them up from Brooklyn over here. From Queens. Gotta get the
Oh, okay.
Queens cannolis, and nothing in the world like them.
Oh, that sounds good.
Well,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be even Sicily or Italy. It's a different story. Yeah. So, like I said, thank you again for being
Thank
on the
you.
show. I appreciate it. Um, so I want to say thank you, everybody, for listening tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody who's in the audience. Todd Camilla, Todd and Camellia. I always call it Camilla. Chameleon.
Camellia.
I always make up. If I can't say the word,
Yeah.
RJ. Oh no, that's RL. Oh man, my dyslexia is not helping me right now. And Jenny and Ronald and everybody that stuck through tonight, Bobby. And so I want to thank everybody for coming. This is Dimensions of the Supernatural, and I just want to tell you, everybody, um, you want to be safe out there. You want to look for ghosts. You want to be a ghost. And here's
Hey, how you doing?
yeah.
That's hilarious.
Forget about it. Good night. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Bye.